Hey guys, Cameron here. So, as you can tell, I'm not with Oreo right now. I picked up a 1988 Jeep Comanche at the Junkyard, and this is the beauty. And I figured I'd kind of do like a vlog with it and do little episodes of like how the build's going and everything. So we're gonna do this episode 1, and I'll kind of go through the condition it was in when I bought it, and then what I have done to it so far. I've had it for about 2 weeks now, and then my plans for it in the future. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so story time. I went to the junkyard with my brother. He drives a Subaru RX. He needs like headlights or something. So I was like, yeah, sure, I'll go to the junkyard with you. And when I moved, I had ripped my door panel on my Cherokee. And so the junkyard around the corner, the one we were at, had a 2-door. And I was like, okay, we gotta go over there too to check the door panel. And like, so I'm walking back there and I'm like, looking for this 2-door Cherokee, and I find this Comanche, and I'm like, oh my god, Comanche. So I'm like, okay, well, you know, I don't need another project right now, so I take the tailgate off of it. I take the tailgate originally because, you know, I was like, I'll just use it for art, and I'll put like my sponsor stickers like on it and like put it on the wall because that'd be cool. Because I don't put stickers on anything because I'm like so scared that like something's gonna happen and I'm gonna lose all my stickers. It's ridiculous. So I grabbed the tailgate, and of course the 2-door didn't have any door panels. It was beat to shit. So I was like, okay, well at least I got a tailgate. And I'm like, you know, thinking about this Comanche, and I'm like, damn, like body's pretty clean. Like there's the one dent on the driver's side in the rear, like where my other Comanche was dented. And I was like, you know, whatever. So we walk up front to the checkout of the junkyard, and they all know me there because I'm there all the time for my Cherokee, or I used to be anyway. And so like they know I'm the Jeep girl. And so I'm like checking out, I'm getting the tailgate, and I'm like, hey, by the way, like would you guys be interested? Like, do you guys sell whole cars? And they're like, no. And I was like, okay, there goes that idea of like possibly even getting the Comanche out of the yard. And the one guy's like, he speaks up from around the corner, and he's like, well, you'd have to talk to the owner. And I was like, you know, I'm just gonna take my tailgate and go. I don't want to, you know, get that in depth with it, you know, try and track down the owner. And I'm like, oh, okay, thank you, like it's fine. And then some guy walks around the corner, and the guy's like, oh, that's the owner right there. And I was like, okay, he's here. I'll just talk to him real quick. I'm like, hey, would you be willing to sell a whole car out of the yard? And he's like, depending on what it is. And I tell him, well, it's the 88 Comanche. And he's like, well, let me see if I have the title. So I have the title, it might be a possibility. And I was like, oh, okay, find the title. Fast forward like 10 minutes, he finds the title. And he's like, yeah, I can sell it to you. I have the title, it's clean, you know. He's like, I don't have the keys though. And I was like, okay, like not a big deal. I was like, would you be willing to sell it for? And he's like, well, a truck like that, like, is everything mostly there? And I'm like, everything's mostly there except for like a few little things. Like there was no fans under the hood, and like the taillights were missing, a few like little things. And so he's like, $1,200. And I was like, okay, well, you know, let me think about it, because like I don't need another project right now. I don't really have a place for another project. Like, I have bigger things to worry about than another truck. So I think about it over the weekend. I go Monday and get it, obviously, which was really cool because like I had found the keys. I had asked one of the junkyard guys like that Saturday when I was there to put a jump box on it, and I found the keys under the floor mat on the passenger side. I got it to start, and it was running. It was so loud, the cat's been cut out. And I was like, I want to know if the transmission works. And so, you know, like junkyards, cars are packed on top of each other. So I asked the junkyard guy that I'm with, I'm like, can I try and move it? And he's like, yeah, I guess, don't hit anything. And I was like, okay. So I moved like 4 inches forward and 4 inches backwards. And I was like, okay, well, first and reverse works. So the clutch works. So that's a win for me. So I go Monday morning to go pick it up. And he like brings it out like on a forklift. And I was like, oh my gosh, you're gonna break something, don't hurt it. And I had a tow truck drive it home, and then I kind of like, I started digging into it, and this is what I found. So digging into it, like I drove it for the first time. The brakes are kind of crappy. There seems to be like no vacuum. So you hit the brakes and they work and they work and they work, and then they don't work. And you have to like get off the brakes and like pump them and like so it'll stop. And then I drove it to Starbucks, obviously. And then it hit 210 and I was like, cool, 210, yeah, we're chilling. And then it went brrrr, like going up and up and up. And I was like, fuck. So I pulled into the car wash because I was gonna wash it anyways. And it blows the upper radiator hose off because it's overheating. And so I'm like, okay, what the heck? I'm doing some research. The original stock 88 Comanche cooling system was a closed system and apparently blew up like the coolant reservoir bottle all the time, so it was a closed system. And so like a few things are like wonky on mine, so I posted in a Comanche group on Facebook and I'm like, what is this? Like, I'm not familiar with Renix engines. Like, I have the 4.0 high output in my Cherokee, so I'm not too sure with this stuff. So I'm asking for help and everyone's like, what the heck is that? And I'm like, I don't know, what the heck is that? And the one guy's like, so it looks like someone half-assed making it to an open cooling system. So he's like, basically you're stuck in the middle between a closed cooling system and an open cooling system, because like the radiator hose, there was like they had spliced in like a fill cap almost for a radiator, but in the middle of the tube above the AC compressor, and it was bent, and so I like had to bend it back to put like a cap on it. It was so weird, and I was like, what the heck? So it was all janky, but I was like, that's weird, it's overheating. The coolant reservoir is full. So I disconnected the hose. It's the coolant reservoir. It's filled with mud. And so like, I ended up just like pulling all of the cooling out, like everything, all of the hoses, the radiator, there wasn't any fans, so I pulled those out, and the coolant bottle, and I pulled the coolant bottle out and nothing comes out of it, but it's full of water. There was so much mud in the bottom of it that it was blocking any water from going through the system or into the coolant reservoir. So that was awful, so I ripped all of that out. I actually ended up swapping in everything from a 96 Cherokee. So radiator, I have a 3-row electric fan set up. I have all of the heater hoses, the heater control valve. I know some people don't like that, but I'm trying to keep it stock. So I put that back in there, and then I cleaned out the coolant reservoir bottle, and I tried to make the hole a little bigger, so there was more like water movement. And so that's what I've done so far cooling wise. So the cooling system's 110% now. The interior is a little wonky because I ripped everything out because the radio wasn't working. I have no dome lights. The dome lights don't work, and I have no reverse lights. So that's kind of interesting. But I put a stereo system in here. I have the radio in, which is Bluetooth, which is so cool for an 88. Oh my gosh. New door speakers, new like tweeters under the dash. I have a sub behind the passenger seat. I put the toolbox in because I saved the toolbox from my old Comanche that I had. The green one, I don't know if anyone really remembers that one. I didn't really post about it too much because it was awful. But I saved the toolbox out of that, so I put that in this. And yeah, so that's kind of where that is right now with what I've done so far. And basically my upcoming plans are, don't hate me, but I'm gonna lower it. I have plans on lowering it 3 inches. I read a few different forums, and a lot of people say you can take rear ZJ coils and put them in the front of this. It'll drop it about 3 inches. And then for the rear, do a 3-inch lowering block, and then XJ shackles. They're about 3/4 of an inch shorter than the Comanche ones. So I'm gonna, originally I'm gonna do the coils in the front and the lowering blocks in the rear, and then see if I want to do the shackles to get that extra like 3/4 of an inch lower. Depending on like ride height. I don't want it like dragging on the ground, but I want it a little bit lower than stock. Because I mean, I've had my big lifted truck for 5 years now, so let's do something a little different. So that's on the list of things to do, and then I'm gonna do a huge brake overhaul because the brakes don't really work. So I'm gonna take everything from a 96 Cherokee and swap it basically into this. So I'm gonna do the brake booster, proportioning valve, the master cylinder. I'm keeping the stock front brakes. So I'm gonna put R1 concept rotors and pads on the front. I have new calipers for the front as well because it's an 88, so it's like she needs new stuff. And then for the rear, I have everything to do the, the ZJ disc swap. So Dana 35 disc brakes onto my Dana 35 drum brakes. That's the swap I've done on my Cherokee, and it was awesome. And it wasn't really that bad to do either. So I'm gonna do that. I have all new brake lines for everything, and then obviously I'm gonna get it painted because it looks awful. Get the windows tinted because it looks like a fishbowl in here, and you can't really tell, but this one's like bright purple, like in person. It's awful. I've done the headliner because that's my thing, headliners. And then I put the seat covers on because the driver's side seat was ripped really bad, and the foam like on the outside of the seat was like gone. So I put like one of those like foam wedges, like that old people use to like sit on like in football stadiums, if you know what I'm talking about. I put one of those like on the side so it'll like correct the angle of the seat. It's kind of silly. I can't get the rear view mirror to stick for anything. I've done like 3 different attempts. I even like grinded down the button so it would stick. Now there's this glue stuck to it, and then like my lights, they're not really there. They're kind of in pieces. They don't work. So I got I'm sweating. The AC doesn't work in this either. I got like little waterproof marine boat flush lights, like flush mounted lights, that hopefully I'm gonna put in here. If they like fit and everything, they should fit. I measured it. And then I'll have to put like the door panels back on because those are inside right now because I did take them off to fix the window regulator and then the speakers. So that's basically it so far. Thanks for watching this video. I'm gonna try and do more, kind of do like episodes on like the Comanche build. I'm really excited. She runs and drives. It's got 432,000 miles on it. I took a transmission shop. They kind of like looked everything over. It needs like some tie rod ends, a transmission mount, like little things. But they gave it the thumbs up to keep driving it like to daily because it's strong and the transmission's good, and I'm excited. So yeah, subscribe, like, I don't know, that's what everyone says in a YouTube video. Subscribe and like my video, and just to follow along with the build, and it'll be on Instagram and everything, and I'm really excited. So thanks for watching.